So now both these curves, they are called synthetic curves. What are they called? Synthetic curves. Write it here. Okay, so this is called synthetic curves. In the synthetic, again, this one is interpolation and this is approximation. Okay, let me place these two curves aside like this. So the lower one is approximation, upper one is interpolation, and both are synthetic curves. Then coming here to the left side, what are these left side diagrams called? These are called analytical. Analytical curves. Analytical. Fine. So in the analytical curves, we have lines and we have circles. Any other curves you can name in the analytical? Can you name some more curves in the analytical part? Roll number 6. Roll number 6. Are you getting me? What's the complete name? John Nirikshan. Are you there in the class? Some sound problem seems. Then who's this? Vaishnavi? Roll number 16. Vaishnavi, please unmute yourself. Someone has raised a hand. Who's this? Okay. Yeah, Vaishnavi, please unmute yourself and answer me. What was the question? Can you name some more analytical curves? Unmute yourself, please. Are you able to unmute yourself? Come on, we have been doing online classes for a long time. You must be knowing how to unmute yourself. If there is any problem, let me know in the chat. There is no mic. Okay. Fine. Next. Who is next? Is this? Roll number 25. 25. Can't see your name. You have to see the name. Yeah. 25. Are you there in the class? Mahesh.
Sir.
Mahesh, are you? Yes, ma'am. So I told that analytical curves, there are two types I've explained, lines and circles. Can you name some more analytical curves?
Circles like ovals.
Ovals. Ovals, huh? Or they are called something else?
Something else.
Ellipse, na? They are called ellipse.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me? Are you getting my voice?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just turn off the video. I guess my phone's getting heated up a lot. So ellipse is the thing you can talk about, not oval. Oval is different. Okay. What is the difference between ellipse and oval? Anyone? This is ellipse and this is a circle. What is the difference between ellipse and oval? Oval, you can say it's slightly a combination of circle and an ellipse. Do you agree? So this is what oval will be like. Okay, one side will be having more curvature, the second will not be having that much curvature. So this is an egg shape. Fine, this is oval. Actual oval will be slightly made differently. I just wanted to give an idea about the difference between circle, ellipse and oval. So oval is also an analytical curve, but the more important one from our point will be the ellipse, not the oval. Okay. So
Do rectangles also come under analytical curve?
yeah, they are made up of lines, so they are also analytical curves. After the class, थोड़ा wait करो. Half an hour. Yeah. So rectangles are also analytical curves, but they are made up of 4 unique analytical curves. Fine. So each of the rectangle, each line in the rectangle, that's a line. Okay. Each part of the rectangle, that's a line, right? So this is one analytical curve. This is another. This is another. This is another. All these curves have their own equations and definitions. Okay. So that is the thing. Then okay, so these are all analytical curves. Even parabola, hyperbola, all these are also, they will also come under analytical curves. So what differentiates the analytical curves from the synthetic? Anyone? One of you please explain. How can you differentiate between analytical and synthetic curves? Akula Akhila, 28. Roll number 28. Are you there? Not present. Then who's this? Ritika, 31. Represent. Harshita.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So can you, what was my question? I asked something, right? What is the difference between analytical and synthetic curve? Hmm?
Synthetic curves are made up of splines and analytical curves are made up of lines.
Lines. The circle is made up of line.
No, arc.
Arc. Ellipse is made up of arc. No, that's a different curve again. What do you mean when you say line and spline? Back out. Back bar.
Lines means we have sharp edges and points. In splines, we don't have anything. We have curved.
Circles also don't have any sharp edges. Ellipse also doesn't have any sharp edges. Okay? In fact, I can have a spline in the shape of a spline. Can I have it?
Mm.
Yes.
Mm.
Let us say I'm drawing a polygon. Okay. So this is a polygon. Now if I take a spline passing through all the corners, it's almost like a circle. Is it? So this is appearing like a circle, but actually it is a spline.
Mm.
So the main difference is whether it is defined by a definite equation or the equation is dependent on the number of points and the placement of points. Fine. Here in the synthetic curves, the shape may be whatever we want. Whatever shape we want, we can bring that into that shape. Whereas here, the shape is not defined by the points. The line will always remain straight line. The line will always remain straight. The circle will always remain circle. It cannot take any other shape. Can it take any other shape?
No.
No. Ellipse will always remain an ellipse. It cannot take any other shape. Okay?
Sir, even in a profile which consists of lines, it is taken as a point where we can adjust, sir.
Yes, we can adjust, but at the end of the day, it is made up of a number of lines. And each line is again a straight. Correct?
Okay, sir.
So each line will always have straight profile. The profile cannot be anything else. Whereas here you can see it is the same spline from the start till finish. It is the same spline, and it is having a different shape depending on the points. Depending on what points I'm selecting, the shape is changing, right? So that is why it is called synthetic. Whereas these, they are called analytical. Okay. Now in analytical, again, there are two types. In analytical, there are again two types. What are those? Uh-oh. Explicit. One is explicit, the other is implicit. Fine. So let us say circle, for example. The same circle can be defined in two ways. One in explicit form, the other is in implicit form. So what is the equation of circle? What is the equation of circle? Okay, there was a call, sorry for that. So x, what is the equation of circle? X plus y equal to r. Correct? Huh? Is the equation of circle correct? Hmm? Come on, everyone, you all have studied the equation of circle, right? Now is it correct? Equation of circle. Hello, am I audible? Please respond. If you're not responding, then how will I come to know whether you're listening, not listening? In such cases, I'll have to point at someone and ask. Okay, who is this? Pranay Kumar, 313.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Pranay Kumar, can you tell me the answer to what I asked? Is this equation correct for circle? Don't know? If you don't know, just tell me so. Pranay,
Yes, I don't remember. Sorry.
okay. So you're from diploma. You didn't go through intermediate, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The intermediate students, is this Uday Kiran? Uday Kiran, 110, roll number 10, roll number 110. Analytical curves can be defined by equations. Very good. Someone has answered in the chat area. Oh, Uday Kiran, are you able to? Are you getting my voice? Next, Safa Khader, 104. Yeah. So what is my question? Is the equation correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. You are not replying when I asked. If you know the answer, why shy away from telling it? Okay, anyway, so this is the implicit form of writing the equation. Now the same equation, if we write in explicit form, how can we do it? how can we write the same equation in explicit form? Any idea? Safa? Is this correct now? Is this explicit form?
I
You
don't
still
know.
have explicit means only one of the variables should be on one side. For in this case, y is on the left side and remaining equation is on the other side. Okay. So this is the explicit form. Explicitly, we are focusing on y. We are focusing on definition of y. That's why this is called explicit form. So one more method we can write it in. Instead of taking y, instead of focusing on y, we can also focus on x. So when you focus on x, this is what is the definition of y. Correct. So these two forms of equations, these equations are also coming from the same equation. Correct. The same equation is helping us derive this. But these equations, they are called explicit forms, and these ones, they are called implicit forms. Okay. So anyway, we'll be learning more about these in the classes when we come across them. For today's session, my focus is intended to be on the syllabus and what we'll be learning in the subject. Okay, so we still have around half an hour. So right now I explained about interpolation, approximation curves, then parametric and non-parametric. Parametric and non-parametric I'll explain later. It takes a little more time to explain, so I'll just skip that part. Helix, you know, helix, it's a spring-like entity. The shape of the spring is actually a helix. Then properties of splines, we have different splines. We should know their properties. So we have a cubic spline. Here you can see the cubic spline has been defined. Then we have a Bezier spline. Then we can have a B-spline, and the different continuities that we have to go through. Then we have properties and characteristics of all these curves. And finally, the concept of nerves. So all this we have to study in the first chapter. So most of the first chapter will be theoretical, wherein we'll be learning about the design process. What are the steps that have to be considered in the design process, and what are all these concepts like alternative solutions, alternative designs. All these we will study in when we are studying in them in detail. Fine. So hope you have got a clear idea about the first unit. It works like an introduction to the subject, and starting with a basic theory about what it is, what is design, and what are the options available in it. It goes on to take the basic geometry, basic 2D geometry, and all its different types. So that's what we study in the first chapter. Then coming to the second chapter, this is where we will be stepping out of the 2D plane. Fine. So till now, whatever curves we have studied, whatever geometry we have studied, that it's all 2D, two-dimensional. But now in the second unit, we will be starting to learn about the surface modeling. Right. So what is the difference between a surface and wireframe? What is the difference between a surface and wireframe? All these are surfaces or wireframes?
Wireframes.
Yeah, these are all wireframes. So wireframes, do they have any thickness? Do the wireframes
No.
have any thickness? So wireframes
No.
don't have any thickness. Okay, they neither have any width nor have any thickness. So that's what makes them two-dimensional or wireframe models. So when we are coming to the surfaces, surfaces will be, of course, in 3 dimensions. So I'll slightly rotate it, and Let me extrude this. So now I have extruded that line, and when I change the shading options from wireframe shading to the realistic shading, you can see this is, what is this? What is this? It's a surface. What is this? It's a surface. So what is the difference between a surface and a wireframe? What is the difference between a surface and a wireframe? Surfaces, they have faces. Surfaces have faces. Surfaces have faces. Okay. Surfaces have faces, whereas wireframes, they don't have any face. Wireframes, they don't have any face. Okay. So for example, let me show you something. Front view, I'm showing it in front view. Okay. Then I will draw some lines. Okay, so this is a line here. I'll copy this line to all these points, and I'll copy this base to the top. Okay. So what I have here, this body is 2D or 3D? This body is 2D or 3D? Remaining all objects are two-dimensional because they are in the same plane. Whereas this object, it is in 3D, right? By changing the view, it's the way it's looking, it's different from different directions. So this is a three-dimensional object, but still it is completely made up of wireframes because there is no thickness, there is no face, right? But if I take an object like this, okay, so now this face, okay, so both these are appearing same, but this one, it's not having any face. This one is not having any face. This one is enclosed by faces. How many faces are there for this? How many faces are there for this? 4 faces on the lateral side, 1 face at the top, 1 face at the bottom. So total of 6 faces are there in this. Okay. Whereas this one doesn't have any face, this one has the faces. So that is what differentiates a surface entity from a wireframe entity. So when it comes to surfaces, again, we'll have different analytical surfaces. Can you give some examples of analytical surfaces? Analytical surfaces, can you give some examples? We have a plane. Okay, we have a plane, then we have a sphere. We can have an ellipsoid. Okay, so all the shapes in 3 dimensions, which are once again defined by equations. One of your friends has neatly put it here in the chat area. Okay, so here, this is what he is telling. So analytical curves, they can be defined by equations. The same way, analytical surfaces can also be defined by equations. So examples of these are the planes. Then we have the sphere. A cube is a collection of planes. So a cube or a cuboid or a prism can also be talked about as, an analytical surface. Whereas when it comes to surfaces like this is different. Fine. You can see here. You can see here when I'm changing the curve, the surface is also changing along with it, isn't it? When I'm changing the curve, the surface is also changing along with that. Okay. See. So this is what makes it a synthetic surface. This is what makes it a synthetic surface. Now this particular synthetic surface has same cross section from bottom to top. We may also have surfaces which which don't have the same cross section from top to bottom. Fine. So it can have different cross sections all throughout. Fine. So such surfaces may also be present. We'll study about these in detail later when we take up the topic in more detail. Okay. So yeah. So these are called derived surfaces. We have the planar surface, surface of revolution. What is the surface of revolution? Anyone? What is the surface of revolution? Come on, tell me, what is the surface of revolution? Just take a spline. Okay, just take a spline and I'll take a straight line. And let us say, I'll just revolve it. This one I will revolve what these 2 points. Okay, so what I've got here, this is a surface of revolution. What is this? It's a surface of revolution. Once again, you can see here that this surface doesn't have any thickness. The surface doesn't have any thickness. Inside is completely hollow. Okay, that is what is the surface. So this is a surface of revolution. Then we can have a tabulated cylinder. Okay, let me show you the tabulated cylinder. I'll show it. Copy this. Okay. I'll copy this over here. Then I can change the shape of this slightly. Okay. And then I will take a command, let's say left. Yeah. Okay. You can see this surface that I got just now. It is joining the top spline with the bottom spline. Okay. So these kind of surfaces wherein there are 2 different cross sections, one at the top and one at the bottom. They may both be present in the same plane as well. So these kind of surfaces, they are called as tabulated cylinders. Tabulated cylinders. Then coming to the synthetic surfaces, we have cubic surface, we have Bezier surface, Kuhn's surface. We'll be studying about their equation format, how to derive their equations, and how to represent them in 3 dimensions. We may also have to remember some of their properties, characteristics and properties. So that's what characteristics and properties form the theoretical part, which you just have to remember as it is. By hearting will do. Whereas generating the curve, generating the surface will be slightly on the coordinate geometry side. So you may have to write some equations and define the parameters. With the help of parameters, you may have to derive some important points and solve the problems basically. Fine. The next one is solid modeling. Now there is a small difference between surface and solid. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between surface and solid? One of you, please tell me what is the difference. Let us go randomly. 56. Harshita? Yeah. The question was, what was the question? What is the difference between solid and a surface?
Solid means
Solid means
surface means it is taken by curves, and solid is taken by extruding the pad or.
Solids also can be created by extruding. So we have a circle here. If I extrude the circle, what did I get? I got a solid. I got a solid. Fine. Whereas here what I have is a surface. This is also a surface. This one is also a surface. So what is the difference? Can you see the difference and tell me what is the difference? So this cylinder, you can see it is closed from all the sides. That is the main difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is closed. So solids are always enclosed properly, whereas surfaces, they can be open. Fine. So inside you can see it is hollow, right? Second thing is solids have a definite volume. Solids have a definite volume. We can also find out the mass properties, like what is the weight of the object, what is the density, what is the volume. And we have this things you learned in mechanics called centroid, again, centroid, moments of inertia. All these things we can find for a solid, whereas surfaces, they are unable to have any of these characteristics because they don't have any thickness. So there is no volume for the surface. There are no mass properties. We cannot find its okay, centroid maybe, but even for a centroid, we will need to have some thickness applied to the solids, to the surfaces. Sorry, only then we will be able to find the centroid. So mass properties surfaces cannot take. That is one thing. And solids are completely enclosed. Surfaces need not be. Fine. Please mind this. I'm not telling surfaces are always open. I'm telling surfaces need not be closed, which means surfaces can also be closed. Surfaces can also be closed. Fine. So for example, I can take this and I can just close this part. Then top face I can close with another surface. Bottom face I can close with another surface. So like this, by using a number of surfaces, I can close this. I can close the surface also. Fine. I can close the surface also. But even if I close the surface, it will still not have the mass properties or full enclosure or full definition the way a solid will have. So that's what is the difference between a solid and a surface. Now, when it comes to solid modeling, there are different methods used for solid modeling. Like there is a C-rep model, B-rep model, then feature-based model. That's what the modern CAD systems that we see, they are feature-based models. Okay, let me take up a simpler one because this takes a lot of time to load. Okay, these are very simple models. So what I have open here is in a software called Onshape. And in the Onshape, it's all dependent on the features. It's all dependent on the feature. At any point of time, I can go back to how I created the geometry. And I can go on to define that. I can go on to change the definition of this. Okay. So I can go ahead, let us say 200. Uh-oh, it's more. Okay. 60. No defines. There are some definitions holding it back. Okay. So I can make the changes and then I can roll it back to the end. And you can see that the geometry has changed according to that. Geometry has changed according to that. So this is what happens with the newer CAD softwares. Whereas when it comes to AutoCAD, that doesn't necessarily happen. Fine. So once I have defined the cylinder, there are very few options to actually make the change. Okay. So in the newer version, it has provided with some options, but they are still very, very limited when you compare it with the modern CAD software. Okay. So yeah, so that's what these two methods are. The C-rep method is used by the modern CAD software, which is also called as the constructive representation geometry, whereas B-rep, also known as boundary representation, is this method is followed by some of the older softwares like AutoCAD. So here you can see I'm in AutoCAD right now. So let me take this object here. Okay, what happened? Let me move this here. Okay, so this is a solid right now. If I explode this solid, I will get a number of surfaces. This is the top face, this is the lateral surface, and we have the bottom surface. So you can see in AutoCAD, everything is formed by a set of faces that are enclosed. Fine. A set of faces that are enclosed. That's how the solids are defined in AutoCAD. And this method is called BREP method or boundary representation method. Whereas CREP method is slightly different. Fine. CREP method is used by the modern CAD software like this. Fine. Modern CAD software like this, they follow the CREP method. Take a more simpler example of this. Okay. But I guess this is a simple model here. Now the CREP method or constructive representation method, it is defined based on the features. Fine. Like for example, if I edit this, you can see that this part is formed by a revolve feature using this particular cross section. Fine. If I want to edit that cross section, I just have to go here, edit it. Fine. So this is the cross section, and if I make changes in this cross section, if I make some changes in this cross section, the same changes will reflect in the 3D model automatically. Fine. So, and this model is formed by let us say, let me roll it here. You can see that right now there is no hole in this, but what I'll do after, let us say here, is defined. So this is the quarter which I have defined here. After defining the quarter, I will be doing Boolean operations in this. Fine. So after doing the Boolean operation, this is where I will get these holes in the geometry. And this is where I'll get the holes in the geometry. Fine. You can see the hole has been made. Previously, the hole was not there, but after doing the Boolean operation, we are getting this hole. Fine. You can see before the Boolean operation, we don't have the hole. After the Boolean operation, yes, we got this hole here. Okay. So like that, the constructive geometry will be developed. We'll see more about that later when we take up this subject. So I hope you're clear about the BREP and CREP methods used for solid modeling. So we just have 3 minutes. So just speedily wind up explaining about most of these topics here onwards. Later we have parametric modeling. We have design applications like mass property calculations. We have mechanical tolerances, which are used in manufacturing. Then finite element analysis, which is used in computer-aided engineering, ANSYS and other softwares. Simulation-based softwares, they are all basically finite element analysis. They're all based on finite element analysis. And we'll see the design review. Then coming here, we'll be seeing how to perform transformations. So when I say transformations, what I mean is doing the transformations. Like let me take a new assembly file to show you what exactly it means. Let me insert an object. Let's say some part. Okay. So I've got this part. So now when I say translation, I can move this part front and back. I can move it up and down. I can move it forward and backward. I can rotate it about the upper axis. I can rotate it about its own axis. I can rotate it about this axis. Okay, so all these are called transformations, and all these are called transformations. And every software has its own method of using these transformations. So here in this part of the chapter, we will be learning about the mathematics behind how the transformations occur. Fine. So if it is the translation we are applying, then a set of matrix manipulations we have to apply, matrix multiplications we have to do to get the final result with the equations. So we'll be learning how to get all those. Then coming to the third unit, we'll be looking at the file storage, how the files are stored, what are the different formats used to store the data into the files. And this is where the CAM part is going to start. CAM means computer aided manufacturing. And when we are talking about manufacturing, we'll be using the computers to manufacture the different parts. So this is where the CNC will come into play. CNC, DNC, NC. NC means the numerical control, and all the different languages that are used to control the CNC. That's what we will study here. So if some models are given to you, you must be able to make the NC code. You must be able to write the NC code for getting that finished product. That's what happens here. Then the chapter number 4 continues with the same thing. It goes on to explain about CNC, DNC, the other advanced methods used for automation, the different languages used in CNC. Then in industrial robotics, we will study about robot anatomy, what are the different shapes of robots, what are the configurations of robots, controls, how to control the robots, driving sources and all, programming methods, applications, all these we will study in the 4th chapter. Coming to the last part, this is where we will study about how to manage the different manufacturing data. Fine. So if you want easy manufacturing, fast manufacturing, mass production, we have to do a lot of planning there. Fine. So about all that planning, we will be studying here, along with some advanced topics like we have machine learning, we have scanning the laser beam devices, CAD/CAM integration, turnkey systems, rapid prototyping, which is basically 3D printing, and reverse engineering. Fine. So this is where we will stop. In the next class, we will start with the review on design process, wherein we'll be studying the theory, what is design, and what are the steps involved in design. All that we will study in detail. Fine. Thank you for attending this class. If you have any doubts, you can ask. If you don't have any doubts, you can leave. What's the next class? Okay, I'm going to stop this. Recording is being stopped.